When I called 911 and I put them on dial, I'm like, we're not in a safe spot. Like this is, I'm like,
you
I don't.
called them?
Yeah.
And I got to a point very close to the end of that season of, I am done.
This nice gentleman rolls.
Are we lying on the podcast?
This is very kind.
Do you need to swear on the Bible before we continue that you're not gonna lie anymore?
It's not my life. It's not my life. Podcast.
Yeah, that looks better because I'm
Tiny.
Shorty's like a Melanie.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Not My Life podcast. I am actually doing a solo episode today, as you can see. Okay, just kidding. I'm here with
Caleb.
Jillian.
Minears. They're married. They're together.
Yes,
we just did a podcast about a lot of things. About I don't want to spoil too much, but we covered some deep topics, but we also covered some funny and lighthearted laughs.
Yes. We had some good laughs.
We did. Yeah, if you guys are new to this podcast, I'm your host, Kale McCarthy. You met my guests today. If you are clicking on for the first time, I'm so excited you did because this was such a fun episode to tape today. I used to release every Monday. Now I release whenever I want. I think it's been 2 weeks at this point.
The freedom.
Yeah.
It's been about 2 weeks. Hey guys, this is me editing. It's actually been about 4 weeks, so close to 5. So this is on YouTube as well as Spotify video. And yeah, go ahead and go to those places and watch it. But other than that, here's our conversation. I'm sorry, I'm like brain dead. Almost passed out on the podcast.
Blackout.
Other than that, here is our conversation that we just had. That's great.
Not the way you bounced it.
Caleb and Jillian, welcome to the podcast. Are you expecting? This is actually their birth announcement. Caleb is pregnant.
We're announcing that we are not pregnant.
Oh.
So
For those listening,
it's gonna be wild.
it is
so
wild.
excited.
Okay, Caleb and Jillian.
Unhinged.
Unhinged. Even though you're already hinged, you're married.
Wait, what does
Hitched?
unhinged mean?
Like wild.
Okay, that's
Oh
exactly.
my gosh, like I just went to
Not
this Christian
unhinged.
party and listened to
We're
Oceans.
hitched.
I feel unhinged.
Ocean's remix with DJ Baba.
Alibaba.
Have you heard of like the new no sugar pops called Ollie Pops?
Oh,
They're
they're
horrible.
so
Are
gross.
they-
They're really gross.
disgusting.
Everybody on like podcasts recommend them, and they're like, "Oh,
Wow.
Ollie Pop."
On your
We tried
podcast,
them.
Not
or
on the ones I listen
they're
to.
garbage.
We tried a couple
They're
different
like
flavors.
probiotic ones, and
They're
they're just
gross.
horrible.
Yeah, they're really bad.
Like just drink a kombucha.
Have you heard of Alani News?
Alani News.
Like the energy drinks that podcasters promote.
yes, you were drinking it, weren't you? And
Yes.
you were like, "This is so
Nicole Waddy literally
Oh, she loves them.
swiped up. She's like, "Get the red one." She's like, "You need to get it." I
good."
was
With
like,
the devil emoji.
"Oh." I was like almost passed out at work. I was like, Alani New was like hitting me bad.
Withdrawals.
More like Alani Poo. Go to
Okay, you said you can't have coffee, yet you're drinking energy drinks. That's almost worse.
I save my energy drinks for camp.
Yeah.
I save them for
Red
camp
Bull.
for
Would
the
you like
kids.
some Logan
Camp.
Paul juice for your?
I could throw up. What are they
That's so
called?
Funny. Prime.
Prime.
That's so funny.
Amazon
Honestly,
Prime?
can we talk about that for like
Yeah,
2 seconds?
please.
Like, let's not reinvent Gatorade and
Is
sell it to
I've
little
never tasted
boys.
it.
It's Gatorade, but it's marketed to like little boys, so they think they're cool.
Is it fizzy Gatorade?
No, I don't think so. They have like a water version and then like an energy version. I'm like, and all
Water.
the moms are buying it for their kids. I'm like, Miss, it's Gatorade.
So speaking of, this episode is sponsored by G Fuel.
G Fuel.
No. What's this podcast actually sponsored by?
I don't know.
Yes, Caleb. Would
New
you mind
Union-
sharing our
Please,
sponsor?
please
No,
look into the
I
camera,
refuse.
please, or I will for you.
By New Union Market.
I refuse.
New Union Market is Caleb Minears' beautiful Battle Creek brand.
Beautiful.
Can you describe it a little bit for those listening who don't know what it is? Shameless plug. Go do it now.
It's clothes
Look at the
with
camera.
Battle Creeky themes.
And why do you look into the camera?
What's
In the
Battle
camera.
Creek?
And why do you do New Union Market? What was your inspiration?
Because people think Battle Creek sucks, and even if it does, let's try and make it better.
Exactly.
Even if it does, like I'm
Maybe it does,
Even
but
if it
let's try
does,
and make
too
it
late.
better.
too late.
You can't make it suck more. Wait,
That's not true.
that's
but
not true.
Can we talk about the flannels that you customize and screen print?
I
yes,
only did that once.
Are you gonna tease?
And I'll never do it again.
Wink.
Did you see
Wink.
that? He's
Ever
winking.
Yeah.
Winking. Never.
Way to be subtle. See that?
It's not
See
even
that?
like we didn't even sell out or anything.
Yeah, people kind of
like
hated
not even
them.
the only thing
I
we
think
sold
we
out
sold
of.
like one or two. So
Yeah.
You didn't sell out of them? I know, like, oh,
so
right.
they're just not
So
popular.
terrible.
And we can't do them again.
Like all
No
my
one's
friends.
even asked us to. Do
All
it
my
again.
friends have your new Union Market flannels, and except me.
So yeah, FOMO.
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
Fear of missing out on flannels.
fear of missing out on
foam offs.
Careful. We're gonna say something bad.
No.
We can guard our heart on this podcast. Okay, guys.
You can fix
So
it in post.
I'm gonna segue since.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Since the podcast is called the Not My Life Podcast, what is one word and why to describe how your life is going right now?
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Oh, pop question.
Hot take.
Is this
So
a
you both
together answer?
individually.
You go
Separate
first.
answer. I gotta think about this.
You go first because you're gonna copy mine.
That's not true.
I have mine though.
I'm thirsty. Well, that's not my one word.
Perfectly described.
I've just really been thirsty. No.
Nope.
Cats. No, that's not. Although we do have
accurate.
like what
I mean, that's
we
true.
feed like
Rummy.
5 ripped.
Sorry.
Love
And
you.
anyways,
It's okay.
R.I.P. Garfield.
Garfield.
Meow. Do you have a word?
I'm thinking about it.
You have to like
We're-
cut like
I'm
4
really
minutes
thinking
of
about
I've lost
footage.
all my respect for my guests now. Do you have a word or
Listen.
not?
I'm overweight.
I will
over
have
it.
a word by
Welcome.
tomorrow, so I need to speed
Jillian-
up the process.
Okay,
you
well,
have a
you know
word?
what? I'll just go first.
Go ahead.
I would say simple. Like we don't have a lot. We don't feel like we need a lot though. Like we were talking about this the other day. Like we have this little apartment that we live in. We have our little cat. Like we work at, little jobs and we kind of love it. Like obviously we have like big dreams and hopes for our future, but for now I'm like it's just simple and easy. And my least favorite question in the world to get is what's new? We were talking about this the other day.
I'll stop
When
asking.
When people
What's new?
when people ask me that, I know that they don't have a bad heart behind it. But it's like we don't have anything new.
Right.
So I'd never have anything to say. I'm like nothing. And I don't know.
I feel that though.
It's
What's
fine.
new? Oh, I'm just still working.
I'm still doing exactly what I was doing a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
which we're kind of loving right now.
Yeah. there's
What's your
nothing wrong
cat's
with
name?
that.
Sorry to interrupt.
William.
William. I did
Yeah.
not know
Isn't
that.
that cute?
That's
I
so
love him.
Willie.
We call
Yeah.
him we usually call him William. His full name.
William.
He's naughty. But
If he like
Naughty.
poops on the carpet or something.
Well,
What's his middle name?
Schmilliam. And I kid you not. When he's really bad, we call him William Schmilliam.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what's your word?
What's your word?
It doesn't need to be the best
doesn't
word
have
in
to
the
be-
world.
But my
She said
brain
simple.
blanks.
It was a simple word.
A simple word. Now I have to be simple, and that was
Simple
Simple.
gospel. Let me turn you up. Hold on.
Turn it up.
I turned you up so loud. Okay.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna go like anticipatory.
Is that a
Whoa.
word? Oh
That
my
kind of
gosh.
reminded
We'll
me
have
of
to fact check
purgatory
that.
for a
Spell
second.
anticipatory.
Spell purgatory.
ANTICAPA.
You don't.
PA. No. Anticipatory.
ANTICAPATIORI.
My brain is blanking right now. so.
Anticipatory.
Okay, why would you say
Okay. now
anticipatory? I can't say it. Why?
explain.
I feel like there's new challenges that I foresee soon. And I don't know when.
I'm scared. What do you mean?
Jillian's like, where? Wait, what's going on?
What's a new challenge?
Oh, wait, guys. By the way, they're married.
Oh yeah. I'm
Sorry.
happily married for 3.5 years.
Wow.
I know,
pretty
isn't that
much.
great?
On January 11th
Yep.
at 11
Oh my gosh.
in 2020.
Yes.
Yes, it was one of my favorite weddings to go to.
Oh, love that.
And the numbers were cool. Sorry, anticipatory.
Anticipatory.
Like I feel like there's maybe that's not the best word. I feel like there's new challenges that at least just me. I'm like trying to learn how to top and
Mhm.
face and
Like with work or life?
Probably a bit more with work right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm leading the Camp Victory media team. That's
wow.
the first time I'm doing something like that. So like I feel like there's very much of anticipation, whether it's good or bad. It'll be good. I know it's going to be good.
I mean, you're going to lead that really well because every year, like, can we talk about Camp Victory? A video is literally produced during camp and then shown to the parents after. Like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Seriously.
Like, how long is Camp Victory? Like 5-6 days or something? Like, 5-6 days, whatever. And you have to produce like this whole nice video to show the parents when they come and pick up and it looks like it's taken so long, and it has, but it's like wow, like you are fitting in, you're taking all these videos of campers throughout the week and then you're putting it together. Like that is a lot of work.
Yes,
you're gonna lead that team so well. I honestly thought you led it every year. So
let's do a sneak peek of your team right now.
My team,
because you would love it. Do you know who's on the team?
No.
Kiki?
I hope this is
Kira
officially official.
Wait, you might need to come. Wait, is this official?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay, whatever.
Well,
I need to confirm.
This won't be released for like 2 weeks, so.
Okay, Kiki and who else?
Lydia.
Feltner.
Yes.
Yes.
Which they're great. So
Kira, Lydia, Caleb. Is David coming to camp?
I'm not going to spoil. He is. I'm not going to spoil what he is.
You can't tell anyone though.
Oh my gosh.
That will need to cut out.
That will need to cut out.
I was trying not to say, but
it's fine. I've worked with camp
Honestly,
for so long. I don't even know.
That's true. I guess you should know if it can be said or not.
It's fine. Who cares? Honestly.
It's true.
Who cares? So to segue, I thought it'd be kind of cool. I have a ton of stories I want to talk about, but do you guys remember how we each individually met? Not you two, but like me, Jillian, you, Caleb.
Lord. Like, how did we meet?
I think
our
about
moms
this.
were friends.
I was thinking about this. I remember
we were like besties when we were little. We would hang out all the time.
Yes,
all three of us.
I remembered.
Well,
I think the first time I remember meeting you was when I met Melanie Bussey.
Wait,
at
probably.
Camp. I remember
it probably was camp.
I think it was camp. We just PKs. Well, I wasn't even a PK yet, I don't think.
Well, okay, so I know the Bussies knew your dad, like pretty well, and then that's how I met your dad was through Melanie.
Oh,
so that's probably how I met you.
Wow. And I think my dad was just intertwined with serving before being a pastor.
Yeah, serving,
anyways.
And then he was with youth at the time. Yeah, he started with youth.
Oh my gosh.
Wild.
Oh my gosh, my dad in youth camp, he always came back so energized.
Oh yeah.
He loved it.
Oh yeah.
He was such a good counselor.
Yeah.
And then
great.
He needs to be a counselor again. Can I just say that? I know it's not an effective use of his time.
Who gets to go to camp next year that I'm gonna cry about? Yeah, exactly.
Benny.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he should be a counselor for Benny.
Wow.
I think so.
So Pastor Justin's kids are literally coming into camp too.
Evie's, this will be her second year.
Evie's second year.
And then Emerson can come next year.
I cannot comprehend.
Like, what's happening?
What? I remember all of these kids being born. Like,
No, literally.
What are you doing at camp?
Like, before we know it, Levi's going to be in 8th grade.
Pastor Justin, don't listen.
Guard your heart.
Before you know, he's going to be graduated out of the house.
Yeah, literally.
So that and then Awana Cubbies, y'all. What's Awana? Jillian, what's Awana Cubbies?
We are no hate to
Awana
anybody who
Cubbies.
loves Awana, but Awana is like my least favorite thing in the whole world.
Now that we're done with it, we can talk about it, right? Shout out to Glow.
Okay, here's what's great about Awana is it teaches kids the Bible. Like
Yes.
straight up, that's what it teaches them. But it has a lot of things that don't work for a church our size, that are kind of like small church mentality.
Yeah.
So we served in cubbies together.
Okay, just for fun, I'm gonna insert a random clip of Awana Cubbies
Please
with
don't
me and
embarrass
Jillian
me
right now.
Is it us screaming?
Wait, what?
I don't know what I inserted, but it was cringy as crap.
Did you guys eat up that cringe?
Hopefully you washed it down with some Logan Paul juice. Why do I keep wanting to call the juice like Metro or like Metro Boomin?
Metro? That sounds like, wait, isn't that gasoline?
Metro PCS.
That's Petro.
Petrol.
Oh,
in the
I need to go get some
not in the
Petro.
States.
He said, "Isn't that gas?" talk about gas. Okay, so we met through Cubbies or whatever.
Yeah, that's how we came like buddies.
Oh my
It was in
gosh.
Cubbies.
I want
We
a
did the
Cubby
puppet show.
buddies.
We did the puppet show together every week, committed.
Oh my gosh.
You
There's
were
a video somewhere.
You
of
were
us doing
Cubby
that.
always. I was Katie Collie always, and you were
Yes.
also Levy Lamb always.
There was trauma
Do you
from
remember
the
the
puppet
voice
show.
you used for any of them?
I don't know, but I think I had a pubescent kid voice, so it worked anyways.
No, but sometimes I feel like you would do a voice, and then we would just start cracking up, and the kids loved it.
And we'd be shaking
No,
the thing and like
but
laughing so
the
hard.
adults hated it. We were causing chaos.
Like
in
we'd
that
be
Cubby
silent. We'd be silent
room. Silent laugh.
for like 25 seconds, just laughing, and the
Oh,
kids
I
would
wish
be
you were
so
there to see the
confused.
puppet shows.
I think I saw like one puppet.
I'm about to
Oh,
pass
that's
out.
embarrassing
Oh
that
my
you saw me do
gosh.
that. I didn't even know you at that time.
I was gonna say I had like trauma from like this motion.
Our arms would hurt so bad.
And
like,
I'd be
I
like
remember leaning
cramping.
over
I'd be
you.
like, like the puppets would be like hunched over, and we'd be like,
Why didn't we record any of our puppet shows?
we.
Like, set up your phone in the
really
back.
I
or
feel like
something.
Miss Noel Brown has to have one.
Noelle, if you have a video of our iconic puppet show, please.
I'm about to black out right now. I'm literally about to black out right now.
Do you need some Logan Paul juice? Wait, Caleb, what's happening? Oh,
I need air from laughing.
your eyes are watering. Okay.
Woo.
Wow.
Sorry, everything went black for a second.
Oh, that's a little
Oh
scary.
my gosh. Anyways,
Jump scare.
Caleb.
I'm sure you meant in a much more normal way.
I'm actually trying to remember exactly. I'm not gonna
Breathe.
talk. He's not
I'm
gonna hear me
remembering
when I
all
say
our
it.
days.
Oh, I know. We were cringy kids. Like,
We really were.
do you remember playing Crossy Roads all the time?
Crossy Roads?
Yeah, like
on
the
the
game.
app?
Yeah,
Like Frogger. It's
Where
kinda
at?
Like Frogger.
at your house, at your old house,
Yes, on
Like,
the couch.
constantly. Yeah,
Yes.
classic. Me and your dad were just talking about that.
Benny plays it now.
Yeah, that's what he was
It's
saying.
his part of his iPad time. Oh my gosh, it's
Not
like
a
1 hour a
tablet
week.
kid.
No.
1
heck
hour
no.
a week. I love
Well, like
that.
for video games, I think.
Goals.
Yeah.
Goals for our kids, honestly.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyways, Caleb, do you remember
Sorry.
how we met?
I'm trying.
Almost blackout on the pod.
I'm trying to remember. I know it was probably in the Dexter Lake era.
What? I don't remember you then.
I know. That's what I'm saying though.
That's so rude.
Well, no. I
You were
don't.
not a part of my life then.
I don't have any vivid specific memories, but I know our paths must have crossed at some point. At that point,
Sorry, Mike. I spat. All over.
someone's got to be involved.
Do you remember me from then?
I'll
remember
be
me?
honest. No.
I'm not gonna laugh too hard because I might black out. Okay.
I don't
I mean,
remember much
today.
from that era, to be fair.
Me neither.
A little bit, yeah.
Put your mic up, Jillian. Okay. I was
Other
thinking
than
about
that,
it.
I don't know.
Do you?
can't
I think the
remember.
first time we hung out, I remember the first time I hung out with Jake. We went to the dunes and took pictures, and we
Wait,
dropped.
wasn't
first
that with
time?
you? You were just telling me about that.
Yeah, just telling him about that.
And
Because he went to play at Road to Life, which
Yes.
is now
That's insane.
our
Wow.
campus. I know.
No.
And I can't
What?
remember. Yeah, you did.
That was where we dropped him off.
yeah,
I went
we
in
dropped
that
him off
building.
there. And
You've been there.
I remember going in that building.
Me too.
But I don't remember why he went to go play over there, and it was like a Wednesday.
Wow.
So I don't remember what it was for.
I
But
didn't realize.
and I remember like we were like, well, let's go to Warren Dunes and take some cool photos, which we did. It was
did we
cool.
take digital photos or film? I think we did
I
just
think
digital.
we did both.
Did we?
Were you into
I remember taking
You did film.
some film, but I do remember having my digital.
I think
I took some video there too.
I just took my Canon camera. You know, the first camera I
Oh,
ever
yeah.
got was from you for my
I do.
Christmas present.
I do.
The
Aw, you're so
T3i.
sweet. I
It's
know.
under my bed.
Which I
like,
think I
collecting dust?
collecting dust.
Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
it started my journey.
Aw. So were you and Jake friends first?
It's a good question.
No, because I met Jake pretty much. We picked him up from Cascarelli's. Or no, not
Mancino's?
Cascarelli's. Mancino's, sorry.
Classic.
From Mancino's. And he was like, yeah, we all like hung out that day. But
Did.
I think we met at like church. We just kind of started talking and then we ended up like taking pictures together. Because we both probably.
Right.
I think I got my camera for Christmas and then I started talking to you about your
Maybe
camera.
that's what it was. That would
Yeah.
make sense.
I love that.
That follows.
That's so cute.
You know, that was Christmas 2016 or 2015
Jeez.
because Benny was born 2016 January. And that's I got my camera, took a picture of my mom pregnant on the couch. But
We're not laughing at you, Tracy. It's just the way you said it was really
I showed her pictures of her pregnant yesterday, and she was like, "I looked like that." I was like, "Mom,
hurt
like
so
he was a
much.
big baby." I was like, "I can say that
Benny's
because
a little hefty.
he was a heifer.
hefty
He was
boy.
almost like 9 or 10 pounds."
That's about what I was.
Are you kidding me? I'm terrified. Anyway,
Anyways,
I was like, "Why are you?" Oh,
different. That's for another time.
future children.
That's for another time.
How did you guys meet? Can we talk about a little love story on
Yes,
the pod?
oh my gosh.
Oh.
I love her
Uh-oh.
little love story anyway. Okay,
I think I know, but I want to hear it again.
yeah.
first time,
Yeah, talk about the first time you met before like the first time you met.
Okay.
I don't really know if we ever actually ever talked before the first time we actually talked.
No,
if
like
that makes
I knew
sense.
of you and you knew
Right.
of me.
But
But we never really crossed paths. We were kind of in different friend groups.
yeah,
I was kind of in the younger crowd at the time.
right.
And I didn't go to college, so all my friends basically moved away. So
Oh, you
then
didn't go to college, did you?
Well, I did, but KCC doesn't.
That doesn't count.
It's different. It's different.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
The first time I think we actually talked was I could figure out the date because I knew. So a bunch of people from 210 went to the food bank to pack stuff. Is this
Yeah.
the first time? Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't remember.
This
if
was
there
when
was a time
Summer
before
was
that.
working there. Yeah, Summer was there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was volunteer coordinator.
Yeah,
back
she
then.
coordinated
Mhm.
it.
It's been a
It
while.
was a good event.
And we I think they were everyone was on one row. And
There were
there-
tables set up.
Or tables or
And
whatever.
stations.
Stationed. And someone was like, we need someone else to, we need people on the station. And we both just kind of went over there and we're next to each other. And
Pastor Mike was there too.
Pastor Mike was there.
Shout out
Okay,
to
you know
Pastor
what's
Mike.
funny about that though is we bonded making fun of your brother.
It's true.
Cause so we were sorting radishes, and
Stop.
I was like, you had said something because at the time, sorry Jake, we're kind of hounding on you, but at the time you were vegan. He was vegan.
Yeah.
But he would eat Taco
I
Bell
remember
and stuff.
that. I remember that.
Such a good face. So
my
we were making
gosh.
fun of him because we were like, I bet he would eat these radish greens. And then he
Yeah,
turned around and
I'll
was like,
admit
radish
that.
greens are actually really nutritious.
Was
and we
he
just
there?
started laughing. Yeah, he was
Oh, yeah,
there.
he was there.
He was the table next, behind us.
Yeah, because we moved it to that new table.
What a good time,
What a good
honestly.
time. No, I
Radish.
remember that was probably one of the hardest times I've ever laughed.
Oh, I thought he was gonna say one of the hardest times
I
I've gone
thought he was
through.
going to say that
No.
too. I was like, okay. Well, and I had to leave early too, so we didn't,
Yeah, 'cause you
we just
were-
kind of talked when we were
This
sorting
is how I
food.
know the date. You were going to see Amy and the Wasp. I remember you saying that. So
Yeah,
we
it was my
could
mom's
date it.
birthday too. So
Amy and the Wasp.
Ant-Man.
Oh,
Ant-Man. That's
Like, who's Amy and the
multiverse
Amy
spinoff.
multiverse spin-off.
like a Charlotte's Web spinoff.
Her stepmother Amy, actually on the farm. Stop. Wait, first, can you do your best mom and dad voice?
What do you mean?
Jillian Faith. That's my mom. My dad is Jillian.
Oh, that sounded just like him.
I know.
Caleb,
Is it just parents in general? or
sound
my
like a girl when you
parents?
sound like your mom, and sound like a boy when you sound like your dad.
So do your mom and do your dad.
I don't
Just
know
do
what
it.
to do.
I'm so rude to you today. Just do it.
Are.
Nike.
You need
just
to
do it.
push him, otherwise you'll sit here for so
I
long.
literally will.
What'd you
I'm
think
about
of?
to.
Just do it.
No. I don't do well under pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure.
There is.
Except just do it.
We're not getting
quickly.
back to the story time till you do it.
What would
Sound
your
like
dad
Jack
sound like
and
when
Cindy.
he got mad at you?
When he got mad at me?
Or when you were in trouble? Use the tone.
This is
Caleb,
so. It's so.
oh
it's
my God.
See this pencil? I'm
I
gonna
don't feel
stab
It's
my
not.
eye out.
I just, you don't. He doesn't feel. That's not peer pressure. I'm just
Sorry.
anything.
I don't want to make fun of my parents.
I
Just
made fun
sound
of
like a
mine
mom and
in
sound
a
like a
loving
dad.
and honoring way.
Jillian Faith.
I mean, that was how they sounded when they made fun of me.
It's empty. Just sound like a mom, sound like a dad. Doesn't have to be your parents.
Okay.
How are you gonna yell at our kids?
Yeah.
Do that.
Brandon.
We will not name our child Brandon.
No, that's why I chose.
No
that
hate
name.
to any.
Let's go, Brandon.
It's probably why that name came in. My
Brandon. Okay, can I have that clip just forever on my phone? I want to compare it in a few years down the
yeah,
road.
that would be an interesting test to see how I actually. yell at her.
Now, if we have a girl, how are you gonna yell at her?
Tiffany.
Tiffany and Brandon Minear.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I'm not gonna.
Jillian,
say
are you gonna name y'all's kids that or?
No.
Yeah, surprise.
Tiffany Minear. Tiffany Faith, because just like my middle name. What's your middle name, Jake? No, sorry, Jack. I was gonna say Jack. Jack.
No,
Oh, tell them how you spell
What is
it.
Dylan, but it's spelled.
That's why you call him
Yeah.
Dylan. Caleb Dylan.
But
didn't
it's
know.
Dillon. And I always, as a kid, spelled it Dilllion.
Dillion.
So many things are making sense now.
Oh,
I think I would like get confused with all the like lines, and I'd add an extra one in there or something. I don't know what it was.
oh my goodness. Caleb Dillion.
Caleb Dillion. Anyways, okay, y'all
Dijon
met.
mustard.
Love story.
Oh, that's my
Sorry.
favorite.
That was such a good segue.
So yeah, first time we met, Food Bank 2018.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I just graduated. So I
Yeah,
was
you did just
17.
graduate, and I remember this is always so funny.
I
Like,
love this story.
You know how you always get like graduation invites for people that like kind of know you but don't really know.
Yes.
Especially at
You know?
the office. Like we get
Especially in,
so
like-
many
and
invites.
I remember getting hers. I'm like, I'm not going to her open. I'm like, I did
Your open
funny?
house.
Well, I'm
Oh my
like, I
gosh.
didn't even know her. I'd never
Yeah.
said a word to her. It was literally like, oh, it's
the only
so-and-so's
reason you knew
son.
me is because you worked with my dad.
That's when you
Right.
go with your parents and you're like, oh.
yeah.
Well, but my parents didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't know his family at all.
So I'm like, and that was like at the point where
Oh,
like
gotcha.
I wasn't moved out at all. I was like barely out of high school. Well, maybe not barely.
no, you
probably
were
more
a
than I
couple
think.
years out at that point.
But still, it was like I'm not going. Like I don't know.
I'm not going to.
I'm not going to
this
her open house.
Chick's
Come
open
on.
house.
And it was like I'm like I know this is just like a not pity invite, but like a I have to invite you maybe or whatever. But
It was a
anyways,
general
it was a
invite to
general
the entire
invite. That's what it
office.
is.
Yeah.
General invite. But
And then after that, the next time like we hung out at 210 again. Honestly, 210's
Yeah.
great. We love 210. We don't go anymore, but
Oh, me neither.
we
I
love
work.
210. Anyway, 210 had a baseball outing,
ooh.
and I went with some friends, and you were there with your brother,
Yep.
and we ended up
was.
sitting like near each other, and
Yeah.
ended
It's
up
such a
talking.
coincidence.
What were we even talking about? Like
Who knows
we
what we
talk
were
about
talking
the dumb
about?
stuff.
It was
still.
probably really
like
dumb
anytime we
stuff.
talked to each other, it was like, how did we end up talking about this?
Yeah,
Kind of
I-
like what's happening today.
Yeah,
How did we end up
literally.
talking about this?
I can't. I don't remember one specific thing we were talking about. It was probably
Taco
a
Bell
lot.
for sure. Probably making
Definitely.
fun of Jake again.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Never
Y'all,
fails.
do you still love Taco Bell?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you ever want cheap Taco Bell, you need to get the app.
Really?
Really
How many
going
points
off
do you
the rails
have?
today.
No. So there's a box you can get just in the app, and it's like $5, and you get a special, like a crunch wrap, a burrito, a taco,
And a drink.
chips, and a drink.
Yeah, it's
For
ridiculous.
$5?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wow, that must be real organic, farm
Yeah,
fresh,
it's
earth
Grade
fair,
E meat.
grade E,
Great.
grade fake.
Well, you know what? We're still
Well,
young, and
I'm not gonna bash on Taco
From
Bell. I'm
what
not
I
gonna act
remember
like.
from that baseball game is getting you a hot dog, and I was gonna get me one.
You bought me one?
Yeah, I remember.
that.
I remember.
Are you
I
kidding?
Think I think you gave me money, so I didn't buy it. But then I remember getting you a hot dog, but it was the last hot dog, so I didn't get one. So I gave the hot dog to you.
Aw.
And I want to say, did
Selfless.
I try the Twinkie dog?
You probably did. You're probably trying to be funny and like make me think you were cool.
Throws
or
up all
something.
over.
That sounds about right.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, that sounds like.
I don't
me.
remember that. Wow, I was
Yeah.
really shooting my shot. I was like, "Here, go get
And
me
that was your-
concessions."
that was-
wow, ew.
That was a
Jillian
your-
from 2018. Are you kidding me?
That was your second hot dog too, I think. I think you
Hungry?
wanted another one.
Are you kidding?
She was so in love,
No,
she
I'm
lost her
pretty sure.
appetite. Or not. I didn't mean to say. She was hungry. I not lost her
I
appetite.
probably thought I was cool because I could eat a lot.
And
No.
then we got Taco Bell
We
afterwards.
literally got Taco Bell afterwards with Jake.
Oh my
They were
gosh.
like, you guys were going anyway, and
Third
Jake,
wheeling.
Jake
Anyways.
being the like super social bird he is, was
Yeah.
like, you can come with us if you want. And I was like, I've never met these guys, but okay. And I remember texting my mom, and I was like, hey mom, I'm gonna be a little bit late. I'm going to Taco Bell with the Minears, and I'm like, what am I saying? My mom's gonna be like, what is going on?
What?
Bless my
We love the
mom.
communication at that age still.
Oh,
Oh, it's so
deathly
good.
afraid of being late and, you know, whatever. Anyway. And I remember sending a text and I was like, this is really weird. But anyway, I also remember leaving Taco Bell. And in my brain, I was like, I cannot be like liking you right now. Like, I was at a stage of, like, I don't want anything to do with that. Like, I just graduated. I was, like, ready for a clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can't do this.
literally in the car, I probably texted one of my friends or something, and I said, like, in my head to God, I'm like, absolutely not. Like, whether, I don't know. I just remember being like, I don't want to deal with that again. Like, I am not ready to do that. Yeah. Did you have any thoughts after that? That was, like, the first time we had, like, spent time together.
Yeah, like intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it was spontaneous, but it was still like intentional.
Did all you do was go to Taco Bell?
There's a bug crawling up the cord.
Is it really?
In between your legs. There's a massive stinky bug.
Woo. Can we see?
He's our fourth guest.
Ew, smash it.
No, it's gonna.
Oh, not on my cord.
It's gonna stink.
Go
Don't
live
smash
somewhere
it.
else.
No! Oh, what are you doing?
I'll show the viewers.
Ew.
Why do you look like that? Get on me.
So gross. See, guys? Oh my
Wow.
god.
I hope he lives
Now
a
he's
horrible...
upside down flailing
He's like-
around.
Like, what are you trying to
I
do?
thought you turned your phone off.
We
thought
were
I did
both
too.
young
Jake,
when
quit
I
texting
first
Caleb.
saw
No, it's
you.
yeah, it's Slack.
Yeah,
Say
my
hello.
boy. Anyways,
Anyway,
you
Sorry.
said I can't do this. You were catching
Yeah, I was
feelings.
like, I was catching feelings, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. Like, I was so sick of all of that crap from high school, and I was like,
I remember your friend group from high school. Oh my gosh.
let's not.
Remember that?
Horrible.
Skip.
Anyway,
skip.
yeah, I just felt awful in high school, like, not feeling my life, and I got out. Like, I got out.
I got out.
Prison.
I mean,
I got bailed.
My 4-year sentence.
Yeah, and I graduated, and I was like, okay, finally, I can just, like, not that I should have waited until I graduated to, you know,
yeah.
make right choices,
Right.
but it was a good, clean, like, for
Yes.
me.
Yep.
So I went to KCC for a little bit after that, and, you know, when you go to community college, it's like you see a couple people from high school, and no one's friends.
Right.
Community college is so depressing. So depressing. It's like you just walk by people and you don't look at them. Wow. I don't know. It's just like a weird vibe.
It is weird.
That's such a weird transition.
That's how I
from high
felt
school.
anyway. I'm not very social. Like, I don't go up to people and start talking to them randomly unless I know them.
Yeah.
So I just never made friends in college. But I was only there for like a year. So
Oh, really?
yeah. I
Did
did
you
this.
just get your prereqs?
Did I what?
Did you get prereqs or
No,
what'd you
so
do?
I did this program through my high school that was like you could do college through high school, and then you'd have a 13th year, and then you would have an associate's. Well, my school was great and lovely and forgot to tell me that I needed to take summer classes in order to get that degree. So I was literally like 3 classes away from a degree in early childhood education.
Wow.
And I was like, nope, I'm done.
Dang.
I could not. I hated college so much.
Ugh.
We have a whole thing on college, so if we have time for that, we'll go into that as well. But
Yeah.
horrible. Would you quit?
I skipped out of
I'm hoping you can hear my stomach because I'm very hungry.
I skipped out of KCC too. I did. Did I tell you? Did you know I did ECE too?
You did?
Yeah, early childhood education.
I feel like I knew that.
I have my CDA.
Did you get your degree?
I got my child development associates. So
Wait, did you like take summer classes?
I did career center. You know career center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
I did that for 2 years.
I feel like I remember that.
2 years. Yeah. That was so much fun.
I
'Cause
wish I would have
I could skip.
gone that
I
route.
literally skipped half of high school and just went there.
I know.
I
So much
regret
fun.
not doing that.
Anyways,
But-
Jillian got out of school, fresh slate
Yeah.
type vibes.
was ready to like have the right friends, start living my life for God. And then we met, and I was very discouraged because I was like, I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to just focus on my relationship with God. I never really had a chance to just focus on that. And then we met, and I was so over it. I was like, no, absolutely not. But then you were at 210 every week, and I was at 210 every week. And 210 is kind of like a spot where singles meet. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
honestly, it is.
Yeah, I mean it's not supposed. It's
That's not the heart behind
it's not
it.
Intended.
But it happens. I mean,
But it happens. It's going. It's going.
you're
to
adults.
naturally happen.
I know Pastor Dresden doesn't not stop it from being that way. So
It's got to happen at some point.
yeah. Do you have any? I'm talking.
So how did you ask her out? When did you develop feelings at all, or was it just her?
So like back to the.
Yeah, me and my eating habits.
I'm gonna try and describe my my journey
Yeah.
in
Are you
as short
guys-
as possible.
Are you guys
So
thirsty at
spiritual.
all? You have
No,
not
I'm
had
good.
any water.
I've been drinking
No,
water.
I'm good.
Oh, I haven't
I don't
noticed.
drink water. I just sorry. I
You
can't
drink,
even say it.
You just swallow
Logan-
your spit.
Logan-
You drink.
Logan
What's
Paul
it
juice.
called? I keep
Prime.
forgetting. You keep drinking. Okay.
Anyways,
Wait, could he? Okay, how could he even get the name Prime? Like Amazon Prime, wouldn't they have taken him down?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Taking
Maybe.
him down.
maybe
FBI open.
they maybe they will. Maybe it's gonna be a lawsuit. We'll see.
Predicting it now. Okay, sorry.
now.
I keep interrupting with these stupid thoughts.
So, like, I'm going to try and describe my not brief journey leading up to this.
Okay.
So, I remember at the food bank just instantly, like, having such an instant connection that I had not ever felt before.
Mm-hmm.
Before all that, so, like, I'd known Jesus all my life,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, not really. Like, it was always just
Yeah.
well, we go to church every Sunday. I know how to sing this. Literally, I think at our old church, we literally sing the same songs every
Yeah.
week. So it was like, all right, like I never had any bad feelings toward it, but it's like, all right, I know what we have to do right now. I get the drill, like all that. And like, I remember I just always was chasing after what I wanted,
Mhm.
which was a relationship.
Mm.
And I think, I mean, through middle school, through high school, it was always just that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I remember it was 8th grade at camp where it was like okay, I actually understand this Jesus thing. I had a Holy
Right.
Spirit moment, and I'm like, all right, like, I'm doing this for real now. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't just church. But even still through high school, it was what I wanted. And I wanted relationships, especially one relationship, which I knew was bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't a Christian. Even besides being a Christian, they were not a great person.
Mm.
And I'm saying that nicely. Assuming they're going to watch this podcast, I know they'll never watch it. But like, I'll honor them. They were just not good for me.
Mhm.
But I didn't care because it's what I wanted. Even though I knew God said not to do it,
Oh wow.
I didn't care. It's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember again when high school was done, and I'm like, cool, clean slate. Let's start over. And I knew, I'm like, I can't be dating. Whoops. Oh.
Couch collapses.
I'm like, I can't be dating a non-Christian. I'm not going to go into why. I feel like everyone probably knows why. But I'm like, I know I can't be doing that. And I entered into another relationship after high school with a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
even still after I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of ended, and not too long after that, I think, was the food bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember being on I can't do this again.
Yeah.
And it was hard because
Sounds like both of you said that.
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit. And
God's like, you can actually.
That's
Well,
what
Don't
the
say.
hard
Never
part
say
was.
can't.
Yeah.
Never say
Yeah.
can't.
and the hard part was, like I was saying, I had never laughed as hard as I did and had such an instant connection with anyone else
Mm-hmm.
than when, like, with her at the food bank. And I'm like, really? Like I gotta do this? Like, not
Really?
like,
You're kidding me. No,
So-
I know what you're
Oh my
saying, Henry.
like, and that made it even harder. And I knew, like, I just knew I was so convicted. I'm like, if I follow myself and what I want, like, I can't do that again.
Right. Yeah.
It's failed every time. It's been a nightmare every time. Like, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
And so we went to a pretty long period,
5 months.
5 months of, like, I'm not going to pursue this until I know that it's God's plan.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm getting a verse. I'm lining up my harbor lights.
Yes.
Like, because again, in the past, I remember specifically hearing from God in a biology class, you shouldn't be dating this girl.
Dang.
And I did anyways, because that's what I want.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm like, we're going to do it the right way this time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that was not necessarily an easy 5 months, but
Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you my side of those
Uh-oh.
5 months. Absolutely awful. Because I am so confused at this point of why isn't this boy asking me out? Like, we're hanging out weekly at 210, after 210, like, kind of dating, but not dating. And I'm just, like, frustrated. What?
Continue. I remember
Okay,
something.
don't forget.
Remember it.
I'll say it, but I'm letting you
And
finish.
what I loved about him is that I could, I never, like, I just knew you were for God and wanted what God wanted. But I didn't know why he wasn't asking me out, why he wasn't, like, pursuing me in that kind of way. And I got to a point very close to the end of that season of I am done. Like, I didn't know how to tell you about it, but I'm like, you either have to ask me out or I'm done. I cannot do this riding the line. Like, we're friends, but we both kind of like each other and we both kind of know we like each other, but we're not doing anything. Yeah. That was so horrible for my soul. Like,
and I think I'm even on my end, like, we would hang out after 210 every week.
With Jake, sorry.
Yeah, but it came to a point where it was just us.
Yeah.
So, like, I think we both kind of knew it's like, okay, if we're not dating and we're just friends, like, we can't fool ourselves.
Yeah, we both separately felt convicted about what we were doing,
and then
but
I
we
think
still
a week
did
later,
it.
I got a verse, and
I don't know why God wanted to wait so long, because when I was praying about it, I wasn't getting a firm no.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting a firm yes. I was just I just felt like I was supposed to not do anything.
And you were just waiting for a word, right?
Which was, I mean, looking at it now, it just lined up perfectly, but I still don't know why it took so long.
Explain that. Like, how it lined up and the word that you got. And
like, I just remember, I'm like, I'm going to wait till I get a verse. And once I do get a verse, I'm going to go to my spiritual oversight and confirm this.
Wow.
And then...
Which was Pastor Justin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, after that, I'm going to ask her dad, like...
I thought you'd never ask her.
And that, I mean, that's like kind of the short journey, but I just remembered, I think you actually gave me her phone number.
Wait,
did I?
I think so.
Stop it. You're involved in this too. The story
No, I'm
looped in.
I think you did because
no, stop. Yes, you totally did.
because we
I love this. This is amazing.
like
Little did you know.
one of our favorite bands, Laney.
Yeah.
We went to a show in Chicago to go see them.
Yeah.
And I went with me and a friend, and then she took her and a friend, and we weren't dating at this time.
Yeah,
Let's
we went on
remember
like an
that.
overnight trip to Chicago.
Like an overnight trip to Chicago.
Like the four of us.
I think I remember this.
And you were supposed to go.
And I think we were...
Do you remember this? Yeah,
Yes.
he was
I
don't
gonna
remember he was
go,
supposed
and
to
then it
go.
didn't work out or something like that. But you gave me his number.
Oh my gosh.
I think I texted you first.
I would have never
remember
remembered
who,
this.
I know.
Unlocked
I'm
a
so glad
memory.
you
I just
remembered.
remembered that, yeah.
Thank
We
you,
were
Lord.
all going to go to a Laney concert. That's right.
Yeah.
Because I was getting so, like, I loved Laney at that time. I still do, but.
And you guys were good friends. I mean, we've been good friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I think you were like, here's his number to like get the details. Like, because I was asking you like, oh, I'd love to go. And you're like, I don't really know everything, but here you go.
Okay.
Because I think
Didn't I
was trying to
set
keep
it up?
very-
Did I set it up where I found the concert?
No.
And
I can't remember.
No.
I
Well-
set it all up. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Wasn't I the main reason? You.
What a great. Wow.
Wow.
I love how this all tied back to you.
And I think too, like, I remember being, I'm like, maybe like, I know it's a bad idea to have her number in my phone. If I know we're not supposed to be making an attachment, you know what I mean? So
It's gonna take you.
it's gonna
This has
take
been
you ages.
5 years, Caleb.
I doubt we've. Keep going.
Stop.
So
If
I
you find-
remember,
if you find the receipts.
like,
This is me scrolling.
being like, I don't want to like open that door because I know we're gonna text all the time, which we definitely did.
Yeah.
But
So that's how we met.
yeah, that's how we met.
Lovely.
It was
It's a short
like,
story.
I love the story now, but it was very hard.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There was always this like
I always like,
unspoken tension,
yeah, and I
For
always
sure.
carried this like guilt
and that too.
that I
yeah.
put on myself. I mean, that we weren't supposed to be friends or hanging out. So yeah, that was difficult. But
So
I don't know how I would have done it different either.
yeah, like hearing your story, doesn't it kind of make you think like when other people are like, oh, I'm just waiting for this relationship to drop in my lap? It sounds like you both did a lot of work and like heart work with God.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
I had to literally just lean on God in that time because it just sucked. And I had no other option but to just press in daily. And I read my journal now from that time. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that time brought me closer to God. And I think I needed that time too to like get my heart right, you know, kind of like you were saying. Like, I don't think I could have gone into our relationship right after high school.
So just to clarify, why do you feel like you needed to get your heart right? For those like listening saying, oh, I could just jump into this now.
Yeah.
Why would they need to get their heart right maybe before they enter into something as serious as a relationship? Because they are serious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our nature is to be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That's our nature. That's something we have to lay down every day. I don't care how like spiritual you are or
Right.
how long you've been a Christian, your tendency is to be selfish. And that's how I was. I mean, at that time I'd never been in a serious relationship, in an actual relationship. Never knew what that was like. And I don't think I would have known how to care for another person that way without spending time to make sure I was right.
Right.
And also, if you carry a bunch of stuff into a relationship, it's just more stuff that you have to deal with the other person.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier if you just deal with it, not on your own, but like with God and with your, spiritual authority.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you try to cover stuff or you try and, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not going to affect me. That was so long ago or whatever. I mean, that's what freedom ministry is all about, is letting that stuff go. So you don't have to bring it into your future and into relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like making sure. I mean, like, this is never to say you have to wait 5 months before
Right.
you date. Like,
Everybody's different.
that's what
Yeah.
our story was and where our hearts were. But it's really just about making sure, like, I mean, maybe you're not in a relationship, but you could say, I know this is like the time and my
Right.
heart is ready for this.
Yeah. It's a
And,
huge commitment.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, it's probably a little easier if it goes, my heart is ready, and then you find someone versus I found someone, but my heart's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
'cause you
our
gotta-
story.
Yeah.
And we had to
totally.
work through that. But like, I think it's just a matter of why am I doing this?
Yeah, and
figuring that out.
it almost makes you wonder, like, if you weren't as intentional with God, if you too even would have like had something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your heart wasn't in the right place and you were off doing your own thing, like, would God have brought you together? Would it have been a different time?
Well, and if you would have gone into our relationship knowing it was wrong, the guilt you would have been carrying
Right,
while we
yeah.
were dating would have been, I mean, what would that have led to? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I can't promise. We might have just not
Fizzled?
been together
Yeah.
and fizzle out. I mean, who knows? But
Yeah, that's a hypothetical. But
it's hypothetical. But I mean, it's likely because if I'm carrying that guilt, it's going to be really hard to get over that.
well, and two, God's design there's not much about dating in the Bible.
Right.
But what we're taught is dating is for marriage.
Mhm.
Why else would you want to be in a relationship with someone?
Right.
So that's also a thought you have when you're preparing your heart for a relationship is, okay, if I'm preparing for a relationship, I also need to be preparing for the idea of marriage.
Yeah.
Not that that's like you date for a month and you get married. Like
Right.
everyone's story is different. Everyone needs something different. But I mean, that was something we considered in those 5 months is this someone I could potentially see spending my life with?
Yeah.
And I knew I remember my quiet times knowing if I open this door, I might also it might stay open forever.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Which is
Wow.
almost
Which
just
is-
as scary as
Yeah.
Just as scary because I knew I'm like, we
It's
might
commitment.
date and
Yeah.
long term, I know we might get married, which we did. So
Aw, worked out.
Can I ask you guys, what do you both know about God now being married that you didn't know when you weren't married?
That's a good question. I feel like in a marriage, you see how much God is intentional with your life. Like, we're together and we have to daily lay ourselves down for each other. I mean, even in small decisions of, there's different things that each spouse has to contribute to a relationship. And that's God's design. God's design is marriage. I mean, his bride is the church.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, very recently God's been kind of showing me this, but the way we are supposed to love each other is how God loves the church.
Yeah.
And not that we could ever love each other as perfectly as that, but that's God's design.
Yeah.
And you see it every day. I mean, at your church, like God's design is so evident in your life. Like, does that make sense? I don't know if I said that clearly, but yeah.
It's like an example. It's like it's how to look at it. You know, it's an example of, that makes sense.
I'd say like God's grace. I think you really start to like really realize how quick it is, because you start to realize how quick yours isn't.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
and
that's a good
like
point.
you really have to, it really kind of shows itself way more, because even as like you're living at home with your parents, or you're like at work and you have tension with other people, it's way different when you're like living with someone else. You have to be like, you start to realize how quick God's grace is.
Right.
And like, especially knowing, not that you're not supposed to forgive like your coworker that hates you, but it's like, it's different when it's like I love this person and I know I need to not hold on to this. And then you just also start to like know that it's all already forgiven anyways. And like God's already forgiven them, and I'm choosing to hold on to the like whatever like issue I have. So I feel like you really start to see God's grace very quickly happen.
Well, and to bounce off that, like, I feel like you have to lean on God a lot more when you're in a marriage or any relationship, because there's a lot of things you don't understand. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking all the time. He doesn't know what I'm thinking all the time, and we don't need to. But sometimes we'll have an argument or something, and it's like, I need to just like go back to my anchor. What does God say about this? What does his word say about this? And, and just trust him. The amount of trust you have to have with each other and with God in a marriage is like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like once you get to the point of knowing that God's plan is marriage and, he wants success for your relationship, it's just so much more freeing. Like not going back, but kind of touching on control for a minute. Like, that's something I struggle with is, wanting my way and not understanding why someone else wouldn't want that. And especially my life with, my life in general and my relationship with God. It's like, God, I don't understand this. And I wish it was different, but I know your plan is for me and I don't need to worry about what's in front of me.
Right.
Like, getting to that point was so huge for me, of just being able to like freely open my arms and just be like, you know what? It's not my job to figure it out. I physically am not made to figure out our life.
It's not my weight to carry.
Yeah. It's not my life. Literally. Like,
wow.
What a great name. It really isn't though. And I think once you get to that point, it's so refreshing. And it's I have to remind myself a lot, it's not something that is, woo, we're done now. I feel great.
Yeah.
But wow, is it refreshing to just remind yourself of that and spend time with God and just physically say out loud, like, God, I don't know what's going on, but this is your life.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm here for you.
Amen.
Oh my gosh. Like the freedom that comes with knowing that and feeling that.
My life is a sacrifice to you,
Yes.
Use it how you want to.
Right.
I think about those listening who are like want marriage someday and want a relationship someday. Maybe they're single or whatever. So kind of just to like switch up the question to encourage them, what would you encourage your younger selves that wanted a relationship? Like, now that you're at this point of marriage, like, what would your encouragement be to your younger self that wanted it but was kind of stressing about it? Or does that make sense?
Yeah. I'll let you answer first if you're ready.
I think so. Just like, this is going to sound weird. It is a very big commitment, but at the end of the day, it's not if you know God's in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I think just like, don't overthink, especially the details of like, am I prepared for this? And again, those are good questions to ask, and you need to like ask those questions with God. But if God says you're ready for this and it's his plan, then trust that it's his plan. and don't overthink, well, what about this? What about this?
Right.
Am I capable of doing this? You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
With as long as you're, spending time with God, he's going to show you how. And if he's in the middle of it, then not too much else matters.
Yeah.
I would say, wait, hang on, I lost my thought.
To your younger self.
Oh, okay. Something as special as marriage, and something that God has planned for you, you want to be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, rushing it is the last thing you want to do when it comes to something like a relationship.
Right.
And dating around to kind of figure out, relationships and stuff, in the end, that just causes heartbreak.
Yeah.
And that just causes more baggage you have to take into your future marriage. And honestly, God has so much time for you in that time of preparation.
Yeah.
Like, especially between high school and marriage, like your early 20s, like late teens, that kind of awkward time of, wait, I'm not a kid anymore, but I'm not really an adult yet. Like,
Right.
oh my gosh, is that a hard time in life?
Yeah.
But God has so much for you to work on in that time.
Mhm.
Like, don't waste that time
Yeah.
wishing for your future.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's huge for me right now, is don't waste the time you have now wishing for your future. Because look at where you are now. Like, if you're, how I described in your late teens or early 20s, you're out of high school. You're probably trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. And when you were 6 and 7 and 8, that's exactly what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to remind myself a lot, like, no, I wanted to be married and in a little apartment for most of my life, and I'm here now.
Mm-hmm.
How could I wish it away
Right.
for a house or, whatever our future is? But
Mm-hmm.
just spending that time of singleness with God, the amount it's going to pay off is just going to be huge in your
Yeah.
relationships.
And it sounds like, is it true to say, like, your calling is now? You don't have to wait for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Is God has stuff for you right now.
And that's so freeing.
Yeah,
because you
I
don't
know.
have to be like, oh, I have to wait until, I get to college or I get married, or
Yes.
just work with the things that God has set in front of
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
And he'll bless that. Like, your
Oh my
calling
gosh,
is
yeah.
every day,
yeah.
Because how
And-
stressful is that to be like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to wait or save money for this calling or do that. Like, you
Yeah.
can do what God wants you to do wherever you are.
Yeah, and I don't know. There was a speaker at church here. I don't know if it's like a guest speaker or one of the pastors we have on staff. And I'm not going to exactly say what they said, but kind of like you said, your calling is now. What you are doing now is still just as important as what you're going to be doing in your future.
Wow.
And what God has for you right now. I mean, who's going to know what you're doing in the future? People
True.
ask us all the time, where are you going to be in 5 years? And I'm like, I don't know. Wherever God wants me to
I
be.
don't know.
Wow.
And why is it my job to figure out what I'm going to be doing in 5 years?
Yeah.
That's where I feel like the public school system has failed.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And how unfair is it to say, my future is going to be better than now, and kind of weigh which one's
Exactly.
better? All
Yeah.
of it's
And even
purposed.
like low seasons or waiting seasons, there's still just as much there
Right.
for you to learn as there
Right.
is when you're, in a fruitful season on a high point.
Right.
yeah.
Like, it's just, you have to take life each day and not like by season. Like, oh, gotta wait for this season to be done because I don't like it and I don't want to be in it anymore. Well, guess what? You're probably gonna be in it longer now because you're not walking out
Yikes.
what God has for
because
you.
how much
Yikes.
closer have you guys gotten to God in that waiting and in the
Oh, yeah.
preparation?
Absolutely.
Oh, way closer. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have prioritized my relationship with God if I would have jumped right in with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. What is it
Right.
about the waiting season that draws you closer to God? Like, what is it that refined you in that season?
I think it was just like anchoring my like confidence in God. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it was like just going and sitting every day knowing like whatever happens, I know I'm doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So whether or not this pans out how I think it should or how I hope it should, like letting God even just give you the strength to like go through the waiting season. And I mean, even like when we were dating, I was assuming it was a waiting season, but also at the same time, was it a waiting season or was it a no season? It could have been a no season.
Yeah.
It turned out to be
Preach.
a waiting season.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the waiting season was to see if it was a waiting season or a no season.
Wow.
So
Would you ask the question again?
Yeah.
I'll answer it.
So, what is it about that waiting season that really like refined you, and what did it teach you? Like, what did you get from it that really drew you closer to God from it? What was it about that season?
I feel like God was kind of showing me like this is not your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think he says it in such a loving and gracious way that it's almost I know that you want that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's your dream. Like, God knows our desires and dreams. It says that in the Bible. But I need you to do this first.
Mm-hmm.
He's so gracious in that way of, I know that's what you want. And he's saying that to us now. I mean, I know that's what you want, but I need you to do this right now.
Wow. Yeah.
In the most kind and special way. And it's a process. Like, your life is a process. Your days are a process of
mm-hmm.
walking out what he has for you for that day. And you can miss it by wishing it away. I don't want to miss what God has for us right now. I don't want to look back in 10 years and be like, wow, we had it good,
mm-hmm.
and we wished it away.
Wow.
Like, I think God just kind of showed me to just like, I think I already said it. I'm trying to reiterate, but yeah.
Wow. That's powerful.
It's good.
Well, guys. Oh, what was that story you were going to talk about in the beginning of the podcast?
Oh, okay. Wait, what we were talking about last night? Or what were you talking about?
What we were talking about last night, or what we were going to... Us?
We'll end on your story of what we were talking about.
Okay.
We'll end on that.
Yes,
We'll
I
end
forgot
on
about
a
that.
crazy move.
Yeah, what was your parking lot thing?
So last night we were kind of talking about, like, Kayla brought up the question of how long do you think you should date before you get married? And
Like, what's the threshold
like-
of, okay, but you've been dating X amount of time, you either need to figure out what you're doing and break up or get married.
yeah, because that's especially for Christians, I feel like there's
Yeah.
a little bit of this pressure to, well, you're dating, so you need to get married.
Right.
And I feel like that's just an awkward time. I mean, dating's awkward.
Yeah.
It is.
There's this unspoken, like, are we going to spend our life together or not? That's why you date.
Right.
And
is weird.
you would hope it's for to spend your life together, especially
Right.
as Christians. I mean, that's what God's design is. But yeah, we were kind of talking about, is there a limit to go, okay, we've been dating for 5 years. We either get married or we don't.
5 years.
Like,
So what would you say, like...
yeah, I'm curious.
That's right. What's
Like
your
the
opinion?
max amount of time before you can go, you know what, this has to go one way or the other?
I think so shout out to Elijah Smith. He was like, you should know by a year if you're going to marry that person. If you don't, then you need to
And that was
figure it
part of
out.
our conversation is it's like, I think part of it too depends on when you start dating.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, if it's over like 3 years, like,
Oh yeah.
okay, maybe like you start dating at 16 and you're 19
Yeah,
and you want to wait a little bit
that's what we
longer.
were
Yeah.
talking about.
But it's like, then there's like a little bit of grace where it's like, oh, we've
Yeah.
done dating 5
Like
years,
if you're
but
dating in high school.
yeah, but you've
cannot get
dated
married
through
in
high school and it's been
Right.
like 4 years
Like
or whatever.
Ellie and Jacob Carlson.
Yeah.
Great example of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
They started dating in high school. They knew they wanted to get married, but they wanted to wait, obviously, till they were out of high school.
Yeah, and
And
I would say
legal
there's
adults.
absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you're like approaching like your early 20s, you're like
Yeah.
21, 22, and then you're like 25 and you're like, we've been dating 3 years. Okay,
There's
then put
no
a ring on
reason.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like you should know. And if you're like, I don't know, then maybe that's a red flag saying
Yeah.
you're not supposed to be in it.
And I think after that threshold of, a year, 2 years, it's just like,
I feel like you're dragging, like you're beating the dead
at
horse
that
at this
point,
point.
it's just a level
It
of,
sounds painful.
like, you're riding this line of what God has for marriage
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
God has for dating.
Right.
And because you've been together for so long, that's when people start living together or,
Yeah.
starting lives together without getting married first.
And I think it's just having an honest question of, like, do I see myself marrying this person?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if I do, why have I not committed yet? Is there something in me that I need to figure out? Like, again, this is like, I know we're going to get married. Like, I know all this, but there's like this hesitation or something like that. Like, I feel like there's definitely a point where it's like you just need to have an honest moment with God and be like, what is your plan for this?
Yeah. And with me saying that, I don't want anybody to feel guilty on the
I know, yeah.
or like
Yeah.
be like,
Everyone's
oh,
different.
you've been dating 5 years. How shame on you.
Yeah.
No, I would just say for me personally, like that's a really long time.
Yeah.
And it'd probably look more like 2 years too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really say, I can't speak into it.
Right.
But
Right.
And God has a specific plan for everybody.
Totally.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Totally.
I think, again, if you start dating in high school, there might be some maturity that needs to come
Yeah.
before you can commit to
Right.
marriage.
Yeah.
And you might know that you want to marry this person, but you just need a little bit of time to figure out who you are.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's different too. Like say you both go to college together and then like you graduate, like and you meet in college and then you graduate, like the
Yeah.
time frame is going to be different too. I
Right.
feel like, you
Also,
know,
something I feel like we also talked about this last night is a lot of people will wait to get married for like different life checks, I'll call them.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get married after they graduate from college.
Like a
Why?
timing thing. Yeah.
What's the reason? Why wouldn't you want a partner to support you in this time
Right.
of college?
Like
or of
Yeah.
schooling or whatever it is.
I
Yeah.
feel like maybe it's just like a fear of commitment
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. Or like finding like an excuse, because maybe it's like, well, I'm too busy for this relationship
Yeah.
to be married.
And maybe
and it's
it-
like, well, let's say when like 10 years from now, we're not going to be too busy for each other. We're going to have to figure that out. We're going to have to
Right.
make sure we're not too busy.
Yeah.
And like whatever that hindrance is,
Yeah.
it's like, well, like, I don't know. Again, it's no shame, but
what if I feel like I've gone through some things and like speaking to everybody and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm not like perfect enough to enter into this relationship. And have you guys ever felt like, oh, I still need to like get right? And
I'll let you speak to that.
does that
Yeah.
make sense? I don't want to overly say
no,
the
I
question.
like, again, it's a bit for what I was saying of like going back and having that honest conversation and saying, why am I so scared of being married?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is something I wrestle with every day. I don't need to be a perfect spouse or a perfect person. Like, neither of us can be.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and I have to like let that go every day. And,
Right.
but again, it's like sitting and having an honest conversation with God and say, what's keeping me from making like this next step?
Right.
Is there something in me that you want to heal or work on?
Yeah.
And it might be a spiritual check from God saying that.
Yeah.
It might be a discernment thing that you have of,
Right.
oh, I don't think I can pursue this relationship right now.
Yeah.
And I've heard of, tons of couples at the church that, they dated and they broke up,
Yeah.
but now they're married.
Yeah.
And that might have been God's plan for them. Every relationship is just different.
Yeah. I really wanted to know your guys' thoughts, like speaking about marriage, like what are your thoughts about people living together before being married? Like what is your honest opinion, biblical and personal?
I mean, biblically, it's pretty straightforward. Like the Bible says, you will leave your father and mother and become one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
If you're living together, you're not just living in the same space. You're doing more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously wrong. And I think like there's a notion that's like, well, we want to figure out that we can live together well first before we commit.
Mm.
And like,
That's a control thing.
it's a control thing. And I think it's like saying, I want to make sure I'm comfortable with this before you call me into this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And like, it's saying if we aren't potentially compatible, but we do get married and we don't know that we're not potentially compatible, you're basically saying God's not strong enough to fix that.
And you're preparing yourself to separate.
Right.
Yeah.
What you're going to get married and then have everything figured out?
Right.
Right.
That's, no shame or hate to anybody,
Like,
honestly.
no,
like,
but
it-
it's hard. It's really hard.
It's one of those things that culture is so forward about.
Yeah.
And it can get like, where's the line? That's what we kind of have to decide. And I think once you make a step like that outside of the covenant of marriage, you're not under God's blessing.
Mm.
You're not under God's plan for marriage. God has a specific process and plan for marriage specifically. And when you step outside of that, well, you step out of God's blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
God's not going to bless something that isn't a part of his plan.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to be under that. And,
Yeah.
there have been times in my life where I have been under that and it's not good.
Right.
But there's a process for a reason, whether we can, understand it or not on this earth. There's a process and a spiritual bleeding when it comes to marriage specifically.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, I think it's just saying I need to be as comfortable as possible with this before I commit.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're basically saying if at some point in this marriage something isn't clicking
Yeah.
and working and we're like butting heads all the time and we hate living together, well then you're not going to let God fix that.
Yeah, and I feel like when you literally nailed it right on the head and said it's a control thing, because
Yeah.
if you're trying to get everything perfect, see if you live well together,
Yeah.
all the things, and then you get married and something goes wrong, then isn't that speaking to, like divorce?
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
we thought we had it all together before we got married, and then we got married, and then stuff started happening, and they weren't who I thought they were, or
Right.
Well, and it's the spirit of wanting everything to be figured out.
yeah,
You cannot figure out your entire life.
Right.
Like, you just can't. When you walk in God's plan, I mean, I've struggled with this, and I do struggle with this. Like, I cannot spend enough time trying to figure this out, and I still won't get anywhere.
yeah,
Like, I can spend as much time as I want trying to figure out what God's plan is, even for things that I don't understand. Well, God might be doing this for this, or, I see, like, God's going to piece it together like this. Like,
it's never how we
no.
think it is.
No, it's
Never.
really not. And it's always so much better than we think it is, too, when we follow that.
It's about submitting, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's about
Absolutely.
dying to what our flesh wants and what we think our
Yeah.
own plans, dying to the plans that we've made,
Yes.
and letting
Exactly.
his plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow. Speaking of plans, speaking of times of hanging out, speaking of death.
Wow, that's a good segue.
Jeff, I have no plans to die right
Wow.
now.
So I want you to start off the story, because I feel like our stories are very different from one another.
Oh, yeah. Please
And
tell
don't
it
change
first.
it. Don't change
Okay,
it, because
I'm gonna have to remember it as we go along.
okay.
Love this.
I'm
I
livid
love
about
taking
this.
photos of abandoned things.
Me too.
It is very hard to do because they're not necessarily the safest thing. So my brain, I think must have still been in high school.
I was.
I want to say.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
like sophomore,
You were
junior.
young.
Tim and Tracy, plug your ears.
No, they know about this. They
I-
talked
oh,
to
they
me.
Never mind.
totally
Yeah,
do.
he-
Yeah, did you
ta-
get in trouble?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, your dad talked to me about it afterwards.
Wait, can
Like he was. I mean,
I don't know anything.
no, he was obviously very gracious about it all, but basically just
You can't do that.
lovingly said that was a very bad idea, which it was. So that's a good intro.
Not very chaperone of you.
No, that's pretty much what he said. So there's
Y'all
always
buckle up.
There's a specific road that has very nice abandoned buildings in Battle Creek.
Shout out
If it's a whole road of abandoned buildings that look cool, it should probably tell you where it is.
Don't.
Not a good spot.
I don't even know where it is.
Don't say where it is.
No, I'm
We're
not
not going to
gonna-
encourage
no, I'm-
young
no,
photographers
No, I'm not going to say
to
where it is.
risk their lives.
Influencers.
Okay, get to it.
So
You're dragging this out.
I'm like,
We're interrupting
sweet.
though.
I'm not gonna go take photos of this stuff by myself because I get that's dangerous. I need
my
to go with
favorite.
someone else.
So you bring a sophomore in high school?
You bring a minor with you.
Again,
Literally.
it was a bad idea. So we're
poor kid.
driving, and we stop at this one building. We're taking some photos. I think the car was still running because we were like, we'll just hop out, take a couple quick photos.
Everything
it
about
wasn't
this
running.
Is wrong.
It wasn't
It
running.
wasn't running?
It wasn't running.
Okay. You can finish. You can tell your story. When
Keep
it's
going.
done.
I will.
And this nice gentleman rolls up.
Are we lying on the podcast?
This very kind.
Do you need to swear on the Bible before we continue that you're not going to lie anymore?
Okay, hold on. We'll open up.
He wasn't mean.
I need you to swear on the Bible.
It could have gone a lot worse. I swear
To what?
that I'm telling the truth.
Just
Okay.
keep going. We're interrupting.
So
Yeah,
he
no,
comes
we're
up,
Jillian, we're
and
being quiet
he's
now.
like very like, hey, what are you guys doing? And I think like, we're just like, oh, well, we just like taking photos. We're just taking.
And where were we
photos.
at?
Oh, right in the middle
An
of the
abandoned
ghetto. It was an abandoned strip.
gentleman's club.
You're kidding. You
was
didn't
a-
tell me that. You're kidding
It was,
me.
it was an abandoned strip club,
We
Jillian.
didn't go inside. It was just outside.
Well, it was boarded up too. Gosh.
I love how you failed to mention that part of the story.
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay? I don't feel like you would know it was that if
I
you
totally knew.
didn't. Okay, well, either
And
way,
exposing him to this awful
bad
stuff.
idea.
No, it wasn't. I was.
It was just graffiti on the side of the building. It
Yeah,
was,
it was
We know how
abandoned.
that goes.
They were probably.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so this guy is like very defensive and persistent of like, why are you guys here? And I think I remember just like trying to get out of it because I'm like, I don't want to cause a scene. If you don't want us taking photos of your And he claimed it was his building, which I is still not quite sure it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember I'm just trying to get out of it because I'm like, this is like, I don't want this to be a big deal. If you don't want us to take photos, fine.
This is where I'm going to take over. The way he was trying to get out of it was giving him his Instagram and his contact.
No, he was so persistent because
this guy was sketchy. He had tinted windows. He was scary. Like
so he rolled up in a car.
He was like almost yelling at us. He was like, "What are you guys doing on my property?" And
I think
You're
I remember.
abandoned.
Caleb,
Right.
did you get out of the car? You got out of the car and went to his window, and you like show him your Instagram, what your photography is, and I'm like, I'm freaking out because I'm like,
Did
his
you have
windows are
911
tinted.
on dial?
Yeah.
His windows were tinted. This guy could have grabbed a gun
absolutely.
easily and like shot us, and it totally felt that way. So I'm in the passenger seat freaking out. I'm like, Caleb, get in the car. Get in the car. We need to like leave because this guy is obviously lying.
I could have seen your face.
This guy is obviously lying that this is his property because he just rolls up, and we are not in a good area.
No.
And so like nobody's around either. Like the nearest like stoplight is like a few blocks away.
Right.
And so I am thinking that this guy is about to shoot us because we're in and rob us or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And so he's like, Caleb's like, oh yeah, here's my Instagram.
Well,
and I'm like,
okay.
hey Caleb, like come here. And I'm like rolling down the windows. Like our sunroof's open. Like all of our windows are open. I'm like rolling up the windows. I put 911 on dial. And this dude is not coming back in the car. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to call like Caleb gets back in the car, but like the guy's still like outside or something where we're in a vulnerable spot. And I'm like, Caleb, start the car. We need to like go. Like, what are you doing? I'm like getting infuriated at this point. I'm like, I don't want today to be my last day on earth.
What were you, like 12?
Oh, I was like 15. But
Yeah.
and so I'm like, you need to start. And Caleb's like still outside the car, and I'm like putting 911. I like called 911, and I put him on dial. I'm like, we're not in a safe spot. Like this is. I'm like, I
You
don't.
called them?
Yeah, I said I don't know where we are, and I was like, can you track us? And they're like, it sounds like you're like on this road between this road, and I'm like, okay, like. Can I like call you back to make sure that or like can I text you or make you call you?
He
like,
puts 911 on hold. Hold, please.
Or like call you back to make sure like everything's good, and they're like, yeah. And so I end the call, and they text me. 911 texts me, and finally he gets back in the car, starts the car, and drives off. And like we're looking behind us, making sure he's not following us. And I text 911. I said, we're good.
Did you have to pay for that?
No.
Oh, bless you.
So
Taxpayers'
to add a
money.
little more context.
Hard at work.
I was freaking out.
I'm
Make it
not
less
saying,
scary.
Like I was in like that moment. He was being very persistent. He
He was.
Like I was like, oh, we're just taking photos, but like we'll leave.
You
Sorry.
were shaking.
And I was
You were
trying
nervous.
to like shut the conversation down and just say, we'll leave. We're sorry. And he's like, well, like who
That's
are you? Let me
right.
see. And like he was being very persistent, and I kept trying to like shut it down.
You were probably trying
get
to be
out of it.
nice.
Sorry for the
And,
static,
well,
guys.
and-
Whoa.
Oh.
Continue.
And I remember I'm like, I either try and cooperate as much as I'm comfortable,
or you walk away and get shot.
or I walk away. No, legitimately.
Yeah.
I'm like, or I try and run, get in the car, and drive away as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And my brain said, let's cooperate as long as I feel safe.
Yeah.
And maybe that was like God.
Yeah.
It might have been.
So I'm not going to
Meanwhile,
discredit
Caleb's
that.
on the phone with
Freaking out at a
911.
15-year-old.
15-year-old.
Well, and I mean, it was like, not
And
a
it
good
wasn't your fault
situation.
at all. It was we both went there,
I
and
mean,
this
it
guy pulled. We didn't know this guy
No,
was
it
going to
was
pull
his
up.
his fault for bringing you into
I
a
like. I
sketchy
should
area.
have.
It was still a cool place though to take
I mean,
pictures.
Did you get the photo?
I think so.
It-
Like, well, let me see the photos. And I'm like,
It's a film
it was
camera,
Film
sorry,
photo, so
bro.
I'm trying to explain that, and he's like, well, what's your name? And I'm like, he like just kept like
What's your
pushing
name?
and asking.
Jake.
questions. I should have just said that.
I'm
So
Jake.
I'm like really trying to get out of this conversation, knowing I either cooperate a little bit or try and run away and get shot. And it all worked out.
Yeah.
We're here, but
That was
just
probably
to
the most
add some
intense.
context
That was the
to
most
what
intense
my
thing
brain
we've
was
ever gone
thinking.
through together.
So he told me that story very calmly and like, yeah, whatever. This guy came up to us, and then I asked Caleb about it, and he was like, I had 911 on the phone. It was the scariest moment. I was like shaking, and then Caleb wouldn't get in the car, and it was like, oh, it was the best.
You were like, what?
I was like traumatized.
Wasn't this like Cubbies too? I don't want to. You were like, so what happened?
Probably.
Well,
Oh
I
my
didn't know
gosh,
you, but I knew you. I don't know.
guys, that was. How have we been talking for almost an hour and a half?
Well, I just looked at the clock, and I'm like, it's like almost
I'm
1 o'clock.
starving.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
starving
yeah, you
too.
need to eat. It's fine.
All right, guys, I'm
That was
putting
so
the
fun.
cloud is. Oh, I clicked the buzzer. The crowd is going wild for you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
It was so
welcome.
fun.
It was so
I'm
much
so glad
fun.
it like worked out today.
Yes,
It was great.
we've those listening. We've tried this to plan this like 3 times.
Oh, literally, we've been planning this since Christmas.
The devil did
I
not
know.
want us
I
to
don't know
talk.
how much of this was us actually talking about stuff or just
I-
talking about
now I'm like-
Logan Paul's prime
juice.
But either hopefully there's something.
Hopefully,
in there.
someone gets something out of this.
it
'cause
was
I didn't-
good.
I didn't even remember what I said.
It was good,
I
and we
know.
will see you guys later.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey.
Well, guys, that was the podcast. So glad you were able to watch it today. If you made it through, all right.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Really hope you took some good encouragement out of it and that you enjoyed this episode. So glad that Kill and Jillian were able to join me today. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a
Like.
or a subscribe, rate or review if you enjoyed this episode. Don't leave a 1-star just because you don't like it. That doesn't
Positive feedback.
yeah, that doesn't help anything. So yeah, if you enjoyed this episode or if you just want to go ahead and leave a rate or review, it helps the algorithm get it to more people who can hear some fun topics and get some Jesus in their life. So yeah, go ahead and follow the YouTube channel. Everything that you can follow me on is in the link below. Not going to go through it. It's the easiest way to do it below. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and stay blessed. Bye, guys.
Drink water.